Pepega clap, Pepega clap, Pepega clap, Pepega clap. You know, I promised to do something on the Discord at the weekends during the Overwatch League matches, and I might just be regretting it right now. So, hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia here, and welcome to the Overwatch League Roundup 2020 Extra Look. Welcome to Nepal. Yes, I decided to promise to have a look at the Boston Uprising Outlaws match. Oh dear, why did I do this? I don't think any of us will ever know. So let's take a look at Nepal for the Uprising and the Outlaws. Well, why did I agree to do this? So, coming in here then. This is the map that Outlaws actually win. This is the fourth map in the series. So this was do or die for the Outlaws, as most of these maps were, and they come out with the Blase Symmetra, which is actually better than what Blase was playing normally, which was the McCree. So yeah. So let's take a little closer look at the second fight then, because the Outlaws pretty comprehensively won the first fight, Axiom taking Mecca off the map for some reason. It didn't really do much. But Outlaws are running this double shield, or double barrier, Symmetra tactic. Uprising are pretty heavily running meta, apart from the Reaper in instead of the McCree, but you tend to do that on this sort of point anyway. So, we look at this, and this is the second fight coming in for the Uprising. And Uprising, as I said just now, got pretty comprehensively swept away in the first fight. But now they're coming up on some alts here. We've got the Shatter, and we've got nothing to look at because I'm going through the map. And the Outlaws, they won it so comprehensively, they basically didn't really build up much. But Dante is nearly at his Blizzard. So they've TP'd back to point. And then this is what this Outlaws cop wants to do. With the Symmetra, you want to make them come onto the point, because Symmetra obviously has those turrets that are so powerful at slowing people down. I really do feel sorry for Axiom in this situation. So, let's take a look at what happens here. The pull comes in for Mecco, and actually doesn't really get much. Axiom drops though, and Axiom is acting as bait for the Outlaws here. The Uprising want to bait someone out of that point, because Colour Hex is waiting up here to wall them out of that point, at which point they'd all drop on them and delete that person that come out. So this is good for the Outlaws so that no one gets baited out, and this means that the Uprising have to engage into them, which is exactly how the Outlaws want to play this. Jerry comes in. I think honestly that's a bit early, because it seems like Myungbong, Colour Hex and Axiom aren't ready for that. So Jerry has to use his Wraith cooldown, which is his get out of jail free card. We do see that Muffin is round here trying to cause a distraction. That's understandable. Big Fire Strike from Muma there. That's actually really good. The pull and Fire Strike combo to get Muma his ult. That means that actually the Outlaws are now building up that ult bank. The Boston Uprising have been waiting a little bit too long to engage for this, in my opinion. I think the Uprising are just trying to build some ults, but it works both ways, right? And Outlaws have actually done a better job of building those ults. They've got Jex's Beat, they've got Muma's Shatter, they've got Dante's Blizzard, and they've almost come up to Raucus's window. I call it window because I forget its name. Amplification Matrix. So, I think this was indecisive from the Outlaws here, from the Uprising here. Now, Axiom's lucky here not to get walled in, although with the nano boost, I think he would have been okay. But this is when we actually see the engage here, and it's actually really difficult to look at this fight. Muma goes for the Shatter. It really doesn't get much. Axiom gets his barrier up in time. Axiom manages to get Raucus in the Shatter, which actually is a pretty big Shatter. But they can capitalize on it. It's actually really good for Muma to counter the Axiom Shatter, even though Muma isn't actually nanoed here. And it's notoriously difficult to enter these points. And so the Outlaws decide to commit to this. They use the Blizzard and the big bad wall from Blase to nail down this fight. Now, honestly, I'm not sure whether they needed the Blizzard here. I think they already had the fight advantage. Look at how low all of these players are for the Uprising. I think the Outlaws already had the fight advantage here, and their Blizzard really didn't get much. The disengage from the Uprising is actually really good. They disengage, they don't let them get any value out of that blizzard, which is not brilliant. Once again, the uprising disengage because the outlaws pop the amplification matrix. You do not want to be attacking into an amplification matrix, but with the matrix now almost going down, Muffin decides to use his bomb, but that's a great wall from Dante to keep that bomb out of the point, because then everyone would have to scatter and they'd lose point control with the uprising allowed to move in. So that's a really good wall from Dante, getting a lot of value there and keeping that bomb out. And it's essentially all wasted from the uprising. Now, it's a lot of to-in and throwing, right? Both teams are waiting for someone to get a pick, basically, and then all hell breaks loose. So Swimmer uses his beat to try and basically start off a fight here, and the uprising kind of need it. They're now 72% to 0, and so they need it. Meko uses his bongo to try and get out some extra damage and get rid of that barrier that all of these heroes have got right now. Axiom is in a vulnerable position here. Muffin is here to kind of help out, but with this wall up, Axiom is in a vulnerable position, so he has to pull back, and does so just. He's very low, and Jerry, meanwhile, has gone into the back line and picked off Raucous. Fantastic pick for the uprising. But Meko gets separated, and basically the Outlaws' defense crumbles here. Jexer manages to get out with his life, which is pretty pog. Hi, Jexer. And so the Boston Uprising managed to take the point for the first time during this round. The bomb there from Muffin is not actually ideal. It gets 2, but it's not ideal. And the reason for that is he's out of mech, and he's the only person who can eat that blizzard coming in from Dante. And obviously he doesn't eat it. I think Muffin is better served holding onto his mech, unless he was going to lose his mech, obviously. Holding onto his mech, using it as a stall potential, and trying to eat that blizzard. Easier said than done at this level, because you just get frozen up. But this means that the Outlaws do, in fact, win the fight, despite Moonbong popping off in the background. Meko does manage to get him with the Bunny Blaster, and Muffin is not going to hang around here. We got Axiom in, and he gets shattered from Muma coming back off spawn, and that is the end of that point. Right then, the third point of Nepal, the big elephant, the big gold elephant, whatever you want to call it. It's time to see what went wrong for the uprising, because spoiler alert, Outlaws did win this map, obviously to take it to that 7th map that there was in this series, for goodness sake. So, we've got Muffin pressuring out down here. He's gonna do that because he's got a really good get out of jail free card with those boosters now that they're only 3 seconds long on their cooldown. Outlaws get early point control here, so the uprising have to aggress into them, and I don't think this is ideal in this meta. A good sleep on Meko though, because Meko, and he will do this a lot, is coming up here and trying to boot people down as they're coming in. Meko will get out of this though, because it's Diva. She gets out of things, right? Now, Uprising are under no pressure to engage until this point unlocks, because obviously Host and Outlaws haven't gained anything, but they did gain the control of the area here. They gained control of the space, and that's a big thing when it comes to Overwatch. Now, you can see that the Uprising are getting a bit low here. The wall goes up from Dante, walling in Axiom. I think the aggression on Axiom could have been a slight bit more, but Color Hex comes in here and freezes up Muma, which is a fantastic freeze. In comes Axiom. Muma dies, but Axiom also dies because Axiom charged in and was surrounded by Houston Outlaws players, as you generally do when you charge. Famous quote from Muma a couple of years ago: "Don't use charge." Basically, yeah. So both teams are down their main tank here, but the problem is Uprising are looking a little worse for wear with Jerry antied and low on health. The Nano goes in on Meko. I'm not sure whether that's totally needed. Meko wasn't low, it's just for aggression, so I don't know whether that was really needed from the Houston Outlaws, but they do commit it, and they see out the fight here with Muthing going to be killed eventually by Raucous and Blase over here, and the Uprising will not get a chance to come back in here with Meko and Dante shepherding them out back to their spawn. So watch again as Meko goes up and tries to boop someone off here. He's firing there, so he slows down his fall so that he can get his boosters back. He's aiming to boost someone off here because Moonbong is going to stay on this high ground. Great peel from Muffin, who comes and protects his Ana along with Swimmer. That is fantastic play and something you would expect at this level of Overwatch. An attempted wall-in of Axiom by Dante doesn't come off, but he does commit the Blizzard. Again, they will disengage this, the Boston Uprising. And although Axiom does get frozen up, he gets the nano, so he won't be dying anytime soon. It's a wasted Blizzard from the Outlaws, and I think actually, especially when you look back at the other points as well, the disengages from the Uprising have generally been better than the Outlaws. The disengages from the Outlaws have generally been very messy. So the wall goes up from Dante. That's because the Uprising have committed ults here. They've committed the nano, they've committed the beat, and they wanted to keep them out. But now Color Hex comes up on his Blizzard. So the Blizzard goes in for Color Hex. Meko commits the bomb. He does get a pick on Jerry, and Blase gets a pick on Moonbong. But a lot of the Outlaws players are frozen up here. Raucus goes down and Muma goes down to the charge of Axiom. Jexay is going to be a bit cheeky and go aggressive on Axiom here because he sees that he's low. But he's not going to get the pick because Muffin comes in with the peel. And this should be the Uprising's point, if they can keep Axiom up. But Axiom does go down. So there is a possibility of a re-engage for the Outlaws here. With Muffin going aggressive on Blase, Blase does manage to flash him. Clever little bit of play from Meko there, as he remechs on top of Muffin to deal quite a bit of damage to him, as the remech does deal damage, if you didn't know. And Jexer goes aggressive and does his Reddit Lucio thing and gets a couple of kills. That really should have been a fight win for the Boston Uprising, but they didn't see it out. It's disappointing from their point of view, especially when both of the Outlaws tanks weren't available, or well, Meko was demeched, should we say. So, this is the final re-engage for the Uprising. They have to win this or they lose this map and it goes to map 7. Again, you see Meko on that high ground using that primary fire to try and boot people off. He doesn't get anyone this time and he will disengage back to his team. He's got to move around though because his boosters aren't up, and I'd like him to be with Muma here, just like Muffin is. Muffin kind of comes off here just to tag the point so that we get the overtime. Jerry's unfortunate Deadeye is not going to get anything because of the good wall from Dante, which you would expect, and a big shatter from Axiom comes in. The problem is they can't capitalize on it. The Muma comes in with the shatter on Muffin. He doesn't get Color Hex. But Jerry gets the pick on Dante, and that's a massive, massive pick, because your May is extremely, extremely important during these fights. Muma gets the nano boost, Blase manages to get Muffin, but I'd still say it's advantage Uprising here, with the May advantage, and May, remember, May is just so crucial in this meta right now. Good reactions from Axiom to stop the stun from Blase. Blase goes down to Color Hex. Jerry goes down to Jexer, but that's just Jexer. Again, Meko goes down to Swimmer in that Baby Diva form. It is certainly advantage the Uprising now with Muma pushing on in to try and keep Jexer out, which is never going to happen, and he should now die. Although, I don't know what Swimmer's doing here, but Swimmer dies to Muma, and then Raucus kills Moonbong, so Uprising lose both of their supports. Because, like, did you not all see Muma going after Swimmer? That is really bizarre from an Uprising point of view. They've now got no support with Dante and Muma and Raucus here and Blase coming back on the Doomfist. That was a really bizarre thing to happen. One of the tanks for the Uprising needed to come and help out Swimmer and Moonbong over here, but they just got pasted. And it put them at a massive disadvantage. So the Outlaws see the advantage here. They commit the Blizzard. Blase goes in, gets 2 alongside the Blizzard. Blase does go down to Jerry, but this is just a massive, massive advantage for the Houston Outlaws here. Muffin and Swimmer can only do the stall here from then on. The nano boost goes in and gets nothing. Raucus gets Swimmer. Muffin in Baby Diva form is going to peek around the corner here and make sure overtime continues for as long as possible. Jerry with that nano boost is not doing much with those 2 tanks on him. And this is definitely going to be the Houston Outlaws point and them taking it to map 7 for this this series. That is very, very bizarre from the Boston Uprising. Very, very bizarre. Losing their 2 supports in that second to last fight was them losing this map. And although they do go on to win the series, in the end, it is a very bizarre thing to happen at that level of Overwatch, to see Swimmer, he shouldn't get out of that situation, not against Muma with Muma on that much health. But for Muma to not get closed down by the rest of the Boston Uprising, when both of the Boston Uprising supports are under pressure from that tank from the Houston Outlaws, is very, very bizarre. And so it's a bad communication issue, it's a bad team issue from the Boston Uprising that sees that fight lost, and ultimately that map lost for them. But that's going to be it for this one. If you want to see more lookbacks at specific maps for specific teams on specific games, then do let me know, because we can do this more often. And the more I do it, the more I'll get better at it, because I know I'm not good at it right now. But I did promise I'd look back at this one, and here it is. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then!